Welcome to another edition of the Dimecast podcast. I'm Beth the Duran alongside the one and only Danny Hernandez, Team Dimes founder. The reason we have a podcast because it's for him, and I just ask the dumb questions. Thank you for joining us wherever you may be. As always, rate, review, subscribe. We've been harassing your son for not watching us, but we found out that he's been watching now.
Yes.
So I am sorry. What's his name?
Josh.
Oh, I thought it was Spencer Holbeck.
Oh, that's my other kid.
Oh, the other kid. Okay, so I apologize to Spencer Holbeck for saying that we didn't watch, but I know you have been doing. All right, Danny, today's episode is interesting for me because you don't know what we're going to talk about. But I was recently at an event, non-football related, where I overheard football dads talking.
Okay.
And, you know, we've all done this and we've all learned that always assume somebody is somebody that's listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never know who you're around.
Mm-hmm.
Don't, the golden rule, don't badmouth people. Don't
Mm-hmm.
talk bad about people unless you know you're in a room where you know who everybody is. So I'll say this. I was at a baseball game.
Okay.
Watching a friend's kid play, summer league baseball game. Hey, come check out my kid. Cool. And, you know, as a dad of a basketball player and a soccer player, normally when I go to my kids' games, I sit far away. But if my kids ain't playing, I'll sit in the crowd. So I'll sit with my boy. And the two dads in front of us were just talking. Quarterback dads. And let's just say they got a little bit louder as they were talking. And they're talking about how one dad didn't like the kid his training with. Okay. The other dad saying, I have a guy over here. Then they started talking about 7-on-7, how he didn't like this program, he didn't like that. And it just became like the entire inning, right?
Uh-huh.
And back and forth about complaining. They complained about receivers. And what got me going is that they started talking about the camps that the kids are going to. And I know you and I have talked about a lot of the camps and how they went to a camp and they didn't like it. How I never, in that inning that I was there, Danny, and I haven't texted you about this. I want to say it for the podcast. And I know, Lisa, your reaction is perfect. I didn't once hear about the kid doing extra throwing, the kid conditioning. I didn't hear the kid lifting weights. All I heard was from this dad complaining about everybody else, about how he went to a camp and he didn't like the coaches that were at this camp. Mm-hmm. I don't know the name or where they went.
Yeah.
And how it was a waste of time for them to be there, that his son showed up and he didn't get the exposure, and that it was like this, and this.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say shut up, but I wanted to hear more.
Yeah.
And you know, summer league baseball, it drags a little bit. It's also a JV game.
Yes.
So I wanted to call you right away and just like have you like, you know, when you call somebody secretive and just let it record it, and just to hear it. And Danny, I never heard once again, any accountability about their kid.
Yeah.
Which brings me to today's topic, which is going to be read the room.
Okay.
You've been around this. Does what I just told you sound familiar?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, it does sound familiar. You hear some of the stuff on the kind of complaining and it's everybody else's fault, on things. And it's tough, right? We're always trying to tell the kids like, hey, let's be accountable, right? Like, let's look at ourselves first, right? Let's not be that guy that, oh, this guy dropped, everybody was dropping the great throws that I was making. And it was this, and there were too many people in the line at the camp, and there weren't enough coaches looking at, me. It's like,
you were there.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they were saying.
Yeah. Those things end up happening. I hear them all the time, and it's tough. It's like, the feedback that you try to give them is, hey man, go back to the whole thing of control the controllables, right? Let's be good at all the little details that we're able to be good about. What's our presence like? What's our body language like? What's our attitude like? What's our effort like? Let's be good at all those things. I can't control if that kid's going to catch the ball, but I can't control I'm lined up and I happen to be going with, man, it looks like a ninth grade receiver that I'm lined up with, and he's going one-on-ones and he can't get off the press. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm over here double hitching, triple hitching over here, and I'm in a bad spot right now. I can't control that kind of stuff, Maybe I go over there and I try to coach that kid up though after, you know what I'm saying? Try to help him out. Coach is going to recognize that. Oh, look, he's trying to help that guy out.
I was watching this, and again, I don't know what they look like because I only saw the back of their head.
Yeah.
Just here, like, man, I wrote it down. I put it in my notes on my phone. Like, we got to talk about this. Read the room. Because, again, you don't know who's around. Again, I'm nobody. I'm just a dude who hangs out with Danny's podcast. That's what it is. But if I'm getting annoyed by this, how many times have parents gone to a camp and are standing there and they might think that that kid with the clipboard, the GA to the side, is nobody, but
Yeah.
he's really somebody important at, say, a big five school.
Oh yeah. No, and it happens, it's like, that's why you always tell them, hey man, you treat everybody with respect, when you're at these different events and everything that you're doing, because that truly shows who you are. You know what I'm saying? If it has to be a, hey, make sure you guys behave because so and so is in your guys' line, or so and so is, that's who this guy is, or he's related to this guy, it's like, you're probably not really that great of a kid then if I have to remind you on all that stuff. That should just be automatic that you're doing that, to be honest with you.
That's like the old adage we get told the kids, just be nice to everybody, like Mexicans.
Yeah.
You show up,
Yeah.
you say hello to every single tío and tía, and when you leave, you say bye to every single one. There might be 100 of them,
Yep.
but you better, because if you don't,
Yep.
there's going to be that one. Remember,
100%.
when you see this or when you hear of parents, right? Because I know I've talked, I have more of a baseball background where I talk to my friends who are baseball coaches.
Yep.
Like, we don't recruit baseball players, we recruit their parents for colleges.
Yeah.
Is that the same in football?
Oh, a lot of that ends up happening. There's a lot of times where, there's do's and don'ts, for some of the parents on what they're doing, and I try to do my best in giving parents that feedback, and just kind of letting them know, like, hey, this is not something that you want to do. Hey, back off a little bit. Let, little Timmy kind of take the lead here on this one, and kind of do those things, because they're taking notes of all that stuff.
Yeah.
They are 100%.
Even at camps?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They see it. How they're over there. They see the kid constantly going back, looking back at their parent, during the camp, going and, mom over there giving him his little water bottle break and everything like that. It's like, come on, man, we're at a camp. That's not a good look.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Still?
I see all that stuff, man. It's kind of funny.
Your phone is listening to everything, right?
Yeah.
So besides Cornbread Cowboy, shout out to him, my favorite Instagram account right now. Because I know you can make him a 5-star. I'm starting to get, those parody accounts where okay, here's what a soccer mom looks like.
Yes.
Like, oh, what do they have in their cup? Like,
Yeah.
I get all the soccer content. I've been getting a lot of the football content.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you've seen this, but parody accounts of football dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's some stuff.
Is it over the top or is that real?
A lot of it is real. A lot of it is real. It really is. It's like I love the QB dads that I deal with, but it's funny because we have those conversations all the time. Like whenever I hear that first thing is, oh, I'm not like a normal QB dad. I'm just like, yeah, you are. Right when you end up hearing that one, and I get it. I get it. It's like, yeah, but I get it. They, and God bless them. But yeah, there'll be some over the top moments. They'll all have their over the top moments for sure.
Now I gotta ask, what's a QB dad? Describe. Okay. Without getting you in trouble losing clients. Describe the QB dad that you don't want. If he's like, Danny, I'm gonna wear your team dime shirt. No.
No,
how about you don't?
I think sometimes, it's funny because I see a lot of the parody baseball accounts, and it's very similar.
The ones
right?
Like the fans holding it.
Yeah, and the dad's going crazy, and it's like, what did I spend all this money on this lessons?
$500 bet.
You climbing the fence, doing all that stuff. And it's
so
like,
you saw my phone.
Yeah. So you'll have those moments sometimes, with the dad, and I've had those conversations with guys, where I've had to tell them, where I've had a kid, I'm training them, and they're constantly looking back at dad, and I'll have that conversation, and I say, look, if you're not ready to, cut the umbilical cord right now, then maybe we're not ready to do this training thing, because I can't put all into him, because he's not going to be completely focused if he's constantly looking at you, and what's going on right here. And sometimes you'll get those dads that'll have a little bit of that. So I tell them, it's like, hey, at some point, if you're working with someone, you trust that person if you're working with them. So let that person work, let them do their job, otherwise, it's going to be a tough situation there. That's a whole other topic that you're going in right now.
Go ahead. Hey, we got time. We got time.
Oh, that's a whole other
thing. You got to get something off your chest, Danny.
No, it's not. And again, like, I'll be honest with you. I've been fortunate, because I think that's something that I try to address it early. I really do.
Yeah.
I try to address that.
You said that in the first episode.
Yeah. I address it early, whether it's mom involved or dad involved. It's like, look, if you're going to come to me to work with your kid, there's some kind of trust here, allow me to do what I do. If you don't like what I'm doing, then you take your kid elsewhere, and you end up doing that. But what I don't want to end up happening, is that kid's constantly looking back, for reassurance, for mom or dad or whatever the case is, because that's just not going to help anybody out, really not.
Obviously, we talk a lot about, the recruiting side of the camps. I'm learning a lot. Fascinating. Make sure you subscribe to Dimecast_pod on Instagram. See the short reels. Um, what I've learned from talking to you, and it makes me pay attention to my ESPN job different
Mhm.
because now when I'm watching, mind you, high school games
Yep.
or college games, you can tell which kid has been told to order his Happy Meal. You
Yeah.
can tell which kid knows to go to 7-Eleven. Hey, you want a Gatorade? You go get it yourself.
Yeah.
Make sure you get enough change or whatever, stuff like that. And then you can also tell which kid is going to transfer after getting benched in the first quarter, the first game of the first year in
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
I Is it because of the parents?
A lot of times, yeah. A lot of times, it is, it's like, and it's funny because I think as parents, and I'm sure I've been guilty of it myself. It's like, we don't want our kids to struggle,
Of
right?
course.
And we don't want them to go through any tough things. So we try to be fixers and we try to like, oh, well, let me fix it. It's like, and I think it's important to let them go through whatever it is that they're doing and let them fix it themselves. Now, obviously, if it's a situation where you feel like a coach is completely mistreating,
Different story.
different story. It's like, I mean, it's like, ah, this guy's being over the top verbally abusive. It's like, but you got to also allow yourself to not be as sensitive. I had seen a post that kind of went viral the other day with, I think it was
Marshawn Lynch.
Sean
I was
Lynch.
thinking the same thing right now.
I ended up seeing that. It's like, and I'm listening.
They're like, you're cussing at him.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And it's like, and it's football. And again, whether you want to deal with it or not, just understand that in that sport, yeah, it's gonna get like that. And I mean, geez, do your homework and research. Know how Marshawn Lynch works and how he communicates.
I'm just
You know
here
what I'm
not
saying?
to
You
get fined.
you gotta know. I'm telling my kid, look, you go over there. If you're not hustling, this dude's gonna be all up on you and
Yeah.
he's gonna get on you. So you better make sure it's a yes or no, sir. And you take care of business over there. That parent probably didn't end up telling their kid's over there being lazy. He ends up ripping him. Mom gets all mad. It's like, come on, man. Like, again, read the room, know what room you're in, know what you're getting yourself into.
Re So we're taping this on a Monday after they had Sunday Night Baseball, Yankees and Red Sox, and I probably didn't see it 'cause you were at a country concert maybe. Tristan Casas, first baseman for the Red Sox, he was doing an interview,
Uh-huh.
and he said Cuban dad,
Uh-huh.
grew up in Florida. He said he was in coach pitch baseball,
Mhm.
and he got out and went to the dugout, started pouting. Dad came out from the stands, grabbed him by the jersey, shoved him onto the field,
Mhm.
said, "No, you need to be out there with your friends."
Mhm.
A mom on the team called child
I'm
services.
sure.
Dad gets arrested during the game. The kid is in the outfield in the field watching. He's like, I see my dad get arrested. Mind you, he's telling the story on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN.
Yeah.
He's like, but I learned that from that incident that I needed to be there for my team. If I get it out, I need to suck it up,
Yeah.
be out there, be accountable.
Yeah.
And mind you, again, Latinos, we grow up different where no llores, don't cry, don't do this. But this kid's 6, 7 years old
Yeah.
and he's watching his dad get arrested. And never did he say, oh, my dad was wrong. It was more of, I need to be accountable.
Yeah.
The sooner you teach that, the better.
Without a doubt.
Like, read the room.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. I think that's so important. And again, we're hoping that through sports, the stuff that they're learning is going to carry on into real life, and the things that we're talking about right here, they completely carry on into real life, whether they're in, a real world job or whatever, or relationships, whatever it is, that they're doing. So I think that is important stuff that they're going to learn from that.
Times are different, obviously. And now with NIL money, and I mean, some kids getting millions when they're in high school,
Yeah.
it's a different world. Like you're getting recruited now when you're in 8th grade. Obviously, it's completely different. This podcast is intended more for, look, if you're a 5-star, good for you. Great job. You don't need us. This is for the late bloomer, the parents who are trying to negotiate this world,
Mhm.
realizing that, hey, a 1 AA school is perfectly fine. Just go play somewhere, live a dream, everything else. Because you never know who's going to be the professional. Ask
Mhm.
Tom Brady because you were there with his dad.
Mhm.
But my gist of what I'm talking about today is understand where you're at
Yes.
all times.
Yes.
And we forget that because QB dads can be divas. QB moms can be divas. QBs are the ultimate divas.
Yes.
I don't care what you say about
Yes.
receivers. QBs are
Yes.
divas.
We can be.
Right?
Yes.
So if you're a kid who shows up to a college, right? And you're like, I'm coming here to commit to you today.
Yes.
I am the dude. Coach, let's go. And the coach is not as hot as you once thought he was.
Mhm.
And then, hey, the lobster, dinner, the surf and turf is all of a sudden Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And if you act like a punk,
Yeah.
again, read the room.
Yeah. 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 I think you got to read, and again, the whole idea of read the room could cover so many different things. It's like I constantly tell kids about that again when they're going to camps and they're dealing with coaches, right? You're going to go into a place and like maybe I'm dealing with like Nick Saban, right? And when I'd go with him, totally by the book, very straight face, not a ton of cracking jokes and dapping each other up and hugging each other. It's very like, hey, I'm going to listen, to this
Yeah.
guy. Then you may end up going to a place, where you have a younger head coach. Maybe it's Arizona State with like a Kenny Dillingham. He's going to have a lot more energy and a lot more be a little bit more fun,
Yeah.
with it. And I always tell the guys, like, guys, you guys got to know how to match that energy. Again, that goes with reading the room as well, because if that guy's keeping things fun and keeping things loose, I better know how to keep up. Right? He cracks a joke. I better not sound like a robot right there and like not want to laugh. Like, hey, I'm gonna flow with it and everything like that. If I'm dealing with somebody else that maybe they're a little bit more serious on what they're doing, then I change my vibe and I'm again reading the room in that situation.
Like right now, I need to read the room because there's some light on your face right now. Don't
Is it?
pause it, Larry.
Is it?
Keep it going, baby.
Keep it going, man.
Because
Is it my
it's
good
Monday
side
afternoon.
here?
No, it's a all right. Let's see. Watch our squad, Larry. We're gonna get the light off of your face right now because we got to see. This is again, we live the tape. We're doing it here. Does Larry look? He's look good, Larry.
Still look handsome.
Larry's our man behind the scenes.
There we go.
All right,
There
you look good there.
There we go.
Perfect. See, read the room.
Read the room.
Instead of complaining about the light in your eye,
Yes.
you kept on going.
Kept on going. Absolute professional.
What do you do if a kid just doesn't listen or doesn't understand?
And sometimes you have to have those conversations that are a little bit more serious with them to get them to understand, and give them examples of stuff, and maybe you explain it in a different way, because again, these are great kids.
Yeah.
Great kids. Their parents have done an amazing job, with them. It's just there's you only know what you know. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be some time, man, I've never been told that before.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard being a teenager.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
Let alone the expectations.
Yeah.
And then you've been told from the get-go, or the moment you started wearing your Razor sunglasses and you get all those passes that, hey, you're the best thing out here.
Yeah.
But when you leave and you go to these big-time schools, they're not just recruiting you, they're recruiting the best in the country.
Oh, best in the country. And I know you, and it's funny because you've brought it up several times when we do the show. Hey, if you're the 4 or 5 star, you don't need us, and it's like, I disagree, it's like, because today is a perfect example. I mean, you heard some of the phone calls that I'm having over here, and, you could be that 4 and 5 star kid and, you might still not be the number 1 guy on that particular school's board. You know what I'm saying? That's tough.
If you're the star, you pick them, right?
Yeah, but if you're that 5-star kid, there might be 2 other 5 stars that they've offered before you. And now what is their choice there? Is it 1, 2, and 3, or is it 1A, 1B, 1C? You know what I'm saying? You don't know where you fit. Like, hey, I'm a 5-star and they offered me. Are they going to take my commitment today? Hey, time out. No, we're going to take so-and-so's commitment because we just like him a little bit better than we like you. And that's tough. And that's a 4 or 5-star kid. That's a kid that's going to have a ton of success, but the answer is not always yes. And how do you deal with that? That's a whole other thing right there.
All right, let me rephrase. If you're a quarterback, you need us.
You need us. Period. Period.
I'm over here looking at the kid under recruited, under the radar, the scrawny kid who's like, I'm gonna grow, I'm gonna be big. Danny's like, no, all of you need you.
Because again, all these guys are going to deal with adversity. It's like I have guys that are in a position where they're 2025 going into their senior year and they don't have a single offer that they could commit to. Then you may have a kid who's been offered by so many different places, right? And then now when he starts kind of looking at all those offers and he starts trying to find out, hey, can I commit here? Can I commit here? Can I commit here? And then you start recognizing, I can't. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you've had all that attention and it looks great on social media, but do you really have that opportunity? You may not. And that's tough to handle sometimes, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's got a little deep here,
Got a little deep, man. In the corazon.
These are conversations you have all the time?
All the time, man. You got to have these with these guys again, because, again, it's not always going to be on this straight line, right? There's going to be bumps. There's going to be turns. There's going to be all this stuff, that ends up happening, and the tricky part about it, like I dealt with a conversation with one of my kids on the way in with his dad. And he's like, man, we're in a tough situation. We visited all these places. He has offers from all these places. And we're asking these straight up questions now. Where does he fit on the board? And they're like, oh, well, he's number 3 here. Go to this other place. Oh, he's number 2 here. Oh, he's number 3 here. And it's like, and that's great. That's still a good position to be in, right? You're in the top 5, but then you look at it like, wow, if I wanted to commit today, they probably wouldn't take it because they're going to wait to see what number 1 and number 2 on their board does before they end up taking my commitment. And that's tough. And again, these are kids that have done everything right, everything within their power, but sometimes there's some of those things that you can't control.
That's the read the room part.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to understand, figure out where you're at. I had a kid that ended up taking a visit somewhere, and he ended up visiting a place where it was only 2 guys had been offered in that class. Okay. And he ends up going, and he calls me while he's over there and he's like, I don't think I'm their guy. And I said, really? I said, why? He goes, I could just tell, and again, I've talked about look out for some of these things. Where's the attention being given? Are they giving so and so a little bit more time? Are they doing it? And I'm not bringing this stuff up to a kid so he looks like a spoiled brat and he's in a situation where it's like, oh, well, he spent more time with him than me. But just understand it. Again, read the room, right? Understand on where you see a little bit more of that attention going, and you could kind of get that vibe, right? Okay, think they're kind of feeling this guy a little bit more, than me. Then you start having some of these conversations and you kind of start understanding, yeah, I think that's their number one and I'm probably number two, in that situation. And again, that's tough. That's tough to handle at first,
That's, I mean, being number 2 is not a bad thing.
Being number 2 is not a bad thing, not at all,
because if that number 1 leaves them hanging.
True, but the tough part is, if you're a school and you're my number 1, but I'm your number 2, that's not going to match up right there. You know what I'm saying? And that's, again, tough to handle.
But that's the ego part too. You got to check the ego.
And you do, and that's the thing that, some of the conversations that I have with some of the parents is, and some of these players is like, hey, it's not always about chasing the sexiest logo, right? Maybe all these schools you have been offered by these big time programs, but you're number 3, number 4, number 5, 6 on their board. Maybe you end up taking a look at this school that's a little bit smaller, all right, but you're their priority. You're the top guy that they end up wanting. I go back to, Jake Mayer, in his recruitment process. And I still remember right before his signing day, he knew he was going to sign with UC Davis. And right before he was going to sign with UC Davis, TCU ends up calling me. Different staff, different coach that's there now. And the coach says, hey, can you have him hold off on signing because we don't know if we're going to get our top guy. And if we don't get our top guy, we want to take Jake.
Hold on. Just to
backup plan.
If we don't get somebody else,
yeah,
we want you.
Yeah. So he said,
but if we do get him, then what happens to me?
I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Yeah. So it's like, again, at the end.
So you want me to say no to that person?
You and hold off. See if you could hold off a little bit. Hold them off so that we could end up seeing what ends up happening here first.
But if I hold off long enough, that other
you may lose out on that opportunity now.
And then I'm at home.
And then yeah,
exactly.
No. So some of these guys
do that long.
Yeah. And some of these guys do it. And so I bring it up to say, hey, this is
after he had already played his senior year, right?
This is his junior college year.
Oh, he's in junior college.
Yeah, so he's in junior college and I call him and said, hey man, there's this opportunity, right? Sexy program over here ends up wanting you, and everything. And he ends up saying like, no, like he didn't even think twice. He's like, this other place, I'm their top pick. I'm their priority. Like, I'm gonna go there. I don't want to be their backup plan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, again, everybody's different. Somebody may look at it like, hey, I'm trying to do whatever I possibly can to play at the highest level in the most packed stadiums. And I don't care what the situation is. I'm trying to get there. There's somebody may look at that. Then somebody else may look at the situation and say, no, I'm trying to look at who am I in the top, for them. I had a kid, one of my 2025 kids, kid had a ton of offers. And then they ended up saying, okay, let's find out where you're in the top 2 on the board, on these schools. And those offers that was this big, that list ended up becoming this big now. So now it's like, okay, well, that's where we're going to put all of our time and attention because we know that we're a priority for that school. We're not the backup plan. We're not 6th, 7th pick, over here. And again, everybody's different. Yeah. Tricky. Yeah.
Deep. You're getting more and more comfortable letting us know.
Deep, man.
You're telling us more without saying. You're getting there.
Yeah.
This
little by little. Little by little.
This is good.
Little by little.
I'm feeling comfortable.
What you guys put in this water?
Why don't we spike it? We spiked it like no other. Rate, review, subscribe. Make sure you follow Dimecast_pod at the Instagram. We have some merch. It'll be available for any guest that we have. So
there you go. We'll get some guests in here.
We'll get some guests. We need another Larry. We need another microphone. We just need another studio.
Yeah.
We need to get some more TVs.
There you go.
More panels. We're just gonna blow it up.
There you go.
SOA Studios here in Southern California. You've seen we've been on the road with it. We've gone to parks. What we're gonna do is eventually have this on location. Remember a couple episodes ago we talked about Alaska?
Yes.
So I got an update on Alaska.
Let's hear it.
Zach Lujan.
Okay.
Not Lujan, people.
Yeah.
Zach Lujan, who is at Northwestern as a coordinator.
As offensive coordinator.
Dude's a family. Football family.
Okay.
His dad, Gabby.
Okay.
Was a quarterback at New Mexico Highlands.
Okay.
NAIA.
Okay.
Was his assistant coach at South High in Anchorage.
Okay.
So, Lujan, I know you're watching. We want to do a show in Alaska. See, we're not even asking for a Chicago or Northwestern trip. That's
a cool
easy.
Trip. That's a cool trip, though.
Oh, you want to go to Chicago? Okay, well then we're gonna go to Chicago. Forget Alaska. We're going to the humidity in Chicago. But shout out to Zach Lujan to go from Alaska to Northwestern. You never know where that football can take you.
Pretty cool.
And you know what he did? He read the room.
He read the room. He did. Yeah.
Danny Lujan on Bet the Duran. Thanks for watching the Dimecast podcast.